He's editor-in-chief of Breitbart News and a New York Times best-selling author. And on this podcast, he brings deep research, prescient analysis, and world-class guests. He's Alex Marlow, and this is the Alex Marlow Show.
Welcome to the Marlow Show. I'm glad you're here. I'm going to have a little different show format today, and it might prove to be a bonus show. I am headed down to Orange County as we speak, and I want to be filling in for my friend and colleague, Hugh Hewitt, who's just been a absolutely lovely mentor and really wonderful to work with since I got to Salem. I'm hosting for him Friday and Monday of this week, so I will be live there, but I wanted to get some shows out, more traditional style shows in the Marlow feed as well. My colleagues at Salem have been kind enough to usually let me repurpose shows that I host on their shows, on my feeds. And so I want to do that for you. So hopefully you'll get a bonus show sometime late Friday or over the weekend. But just in case, I want to make sure you get a show, and it's going to be a good one today because we got Senator Dave McCormick, who represents Pennsylvania, up-and-comer, powerful person in general, powerful in the Senate, and represents one of the states that is essential to Trump's MAGA coalition. We get into the government shutdown. We get into trade, fentanyl, and even his bromance with John Fetterman, the most interesting Democrat that we got going. So we get a lot of his commentary there. You're going to enjoy that. And then the one and only Siggy Flicker, who's been here before. She's a blast, a ball of energy, and someone who I'm pretty much simpatico with on issues Israel and the Middle East. So fun to catch up with her. So that'll be today's Marlow Show. And it's my intention to put out Marlow hosting for Hewitt as well. So this is why I tell you, got to subscribe, like and subscribe, YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, Apple. Make it redundant. I use two of those more often than the others, but I'm not going to tell you which. But I'll tell you that if you have backups, then you won't miss any shows. You won't miss any content because I do put out some special stuff, particularly on the video platform that you don't get on the audio platform. And then so maybe you'll get some extra content for when you're driving around doing your stuff over the weekend. Before we get into the interview with Senator McCormick, you guys know that I'm super hot on this new campaign for preborn and heading into Thanksgiving, heading in towards the end of the year, which is a special time for families. Well, we love family formation at the Marlow Show. Right now, there's a girl finding out that she's pregnant. In the next couple of weeks, she's going to make some big decisions, the biggest decision of her life, perhaps, whether or not she will let this human being that is growing inside her, whether or not that baby gets to be born into the world and live a hopefully long and fulfilling life. This is going to be a Thanksgiving memory for this family. This could be a memory that is beautiful and lasts decades, or a memory that is sort of like a curse. And what will she be thankful for in a year from now? Well, it could be you. She'll be thankful that you introduced her to her baby by providing a free ultrasound, and she'll be thankful that she can choose life as she prepares for her baby's first Thanksgiving. It's a really beautiful thought. Take a stand for life by providing an ultrasound with preborn. When a young woman sees her baby on the ultrasound, hears her baby's heartbeat, she's twice as likely to choose life. I will tell you, the most profound days of my life, hearing my baby's heartbeat for the first time. I have so many videos recorded of ultrasounds on my phone, and just hearing that little lub-dub beating so fast. They beat so fast to start. Oh, it's so beautiful. And we want women to have that experience before they choose to terminate that life. $140 provides 5 ultrasounds. You can save 5 babies. $280, 10 ultrasounds. You guys can do that math. $15,000 provides an ultrasound machine that can save thousands of babies' lives for years to come. And you can donate to the great people at Preborn, 833-850-BABY, 833-850-2229, or you go to preborn.com/Marlow, preborn.com/Marlow. Make sure to select my name from the drop down so we keep track, make sure the campaign goes well. But this is a cause I deeply believe in, and I hope you guys get on board this holiday season and keep preborn in your heart and all those babies that want to meet their mamas. All right, let's get into it with Senator McCormick. All right, Senator Dave McCormick of Pennsylvania is here with me. First time on the show, but has been a good friend to us at Breitbart News over the last year or so. Senator, thanks for all the scoops, et cetera, that we've got, and it's nice to have you on the Marlow Show today. I guess we'll start with just the biggest news that you're dealing with, which is the shutdown. And after the, I would say, disappointing for Republicans, though not entirely surprising election result from Tuesday, I feel like both sides think probably they have the best hand here in this poker game. So just give me some insight on where you think things are at.
Well, I mean, we're in day 37 of the shutdown, so it's just we're the longest shutdown in history. And what's starting to happen, I think it's really starting to affect Pennsylvanians and Americans. People haven't been paid for a long time. People working in the government are having to go get loans from their credit union. We have airports starting to dial back their services. Secretary of Transportation to protect safety, have air traffic controllers working less, TSA lines being shut down. And the most important thing probably in terms of affecting people is SNAP benefits, which are not food benefits that are now not available for 2 million Pennsylvanians. So the pain is becoming clear. Republicans have voted 14 times for this government to be open. My fellow senator from Pennsylvania, John Fetterman, also a Democrat, he and I have voted together. And, the politics of this aside for a second, it just seems to me it never makes sense to shut down the government. It's not the right way to get your political objectives. And I would say that if the Democrats were in charge of the Senate or the House or the White House. So I'm hoping that there's going to be an end in sight here. I'm told there's lots of negotiation underway, but at the moment, at least, we're in a cul-de-sac, I think, that Chuck Schumer has driven us into. And we're not able to get out of it until the Democrats say, OK, enough's enough. We're going to open up the government and get back to the business of the people.
We were talking a lot earlier this week about Nancy Pelosi's retirement, and I was noting that one of the legacies, I think, of her tenure as the top Democrat legislator for so long is that she really created this ethos of you just fight Republicans until you absolutely know you're beat, and then only then will you ever back down at all. And this is relatively new, I think, in our politics, and it feels like that's what we're witnessing here on full display.
Yeah, listen, I mean, it's obviously we're on different sides of this issue, Republicans and Democrats. So I really do try to be objective about it. What is happening here is unprecedented. It happened once in 2013 where the Republicans tried to keep the government open in opposition to Obamacare. It was a bad idea then. It's a bad idea now. Over the last, 4 or 5 years, Republicans voted a number of times to keep the government open. So it really is unprecedented. And to your point, it seems like it's driven purely by political motivations, the ability to fight back against President Trump and to say, listen, we're not going to go along, even though going along with the clean continuing resolution is in the best interest of the American people. So I do think it's a purely political move. I do think it's hurting both parties, and I certainly think it's hurting the American people. And that's why it's such a tragic set of decisions on the part of the Democrats.
So the transportation issue is a big one because I do feel like air travel is generally painful for people in this country anyway. So it's just going to get more painful with the less resources available for air traffic control, airports, et cetera. And we're just a couple of weeks away from Thanksgiving. Are the Democrats going to ruin Thanksgiving with the shutdown?
I'm fearful they are. I was a little more optimistic that we'd have an end to this week post-election. As you mentioned, the election results were certainly not unexpected, but very favorable for the Democrats. So I thought that would allow them the ability to step back and say, okay, we're going to move forward, open the government back up. And then Republicans have said, from the president to the majority leader to the Speaker of the House, have all said, we will negotiate in good faith on how to deal with the extension of the Obamacare subsidies from COVID. Which have a lot of problems with them, which we can talk about, but we will have a good faith negotiation on that. I thought that would be enough for common sense to prevail, but unfortunately it hasn't. And really, to what the Democrats are proposing right now is not only an extension of those Obamacare subsidies that were put in place just for COVID, which are deeply flawed in a number of ways. They've gone into the legislation that was passed in the big, beautiful bill, the working people tax cuts that were put in place, the working families tax cuts, and they're trying to reverse a number of those decisions that would add another $1 trillion to the deficit. So the thing that they're asking for is unreasonable, and the way they're asking for it's unreasonable because they're seeking to shut the government down. So it's not like there's a lot of common ground on those two issues, and that's part of the problem, and that's why I think it's purely politics and imaging that they want to make sure it looks like they're to appease their left-wing base. They want to make sure it looks like they're fighting hard against the president.
So I can't resist asking a question about what it seems like is a bromance between you and Senator Fetterman, who is definitely the most interesting Democrat that's out there by a mile, and the only one who's super interesting and unpredictable here. What's that been like working with him? Because you guys cut a very distinctly different figure, and yet seem to get along a lot.
You know, he campaigned against me. He was a colleague and friend of Senator Casey's, so we didn't have any relationship prior to me winning. Once I won, we sat down, and what I discovered is, we disagree probably, certainly on more things than we agree on, but on the things we agreed on, we said, listen, we're going to work hard together to serve the people of Pennsylvania. That's what they expect. Pennsylvania is a very pragmatic, common sense kind of place. Ironically, a lot of the same people that elected him, the blue-collar working families elected me. No. And so we said, listen, wherever we can work together, we're going to work together. But better than that, I trust him. I trust we have lots of conversations. What we say between us, we keep between us. I trust him. I trust his word. Where we disagree, we just say, okay, we're not going to be able to find common ground on that. Let's move on to something we can agree on. And whether it's anti-Semitism or support for Israel or stopping the fentanyl crisis in Pennsylvania or opening up to fracking or opening up the government, he has been a good, solid, trustworthy partner.
You mentioned Israel. You and I ran into each other at the Republican Jewish Coalition event over the weekend, and I'm really struck by how the Israel conversation has overwhelmed online conservative communities, but I not really in the rest of my life. And I'm just wondering how much of that online debate about Israel and whether or not Republicans and conservatives should be standing with Israel to the extent that we do, is that playing out in Washington at all, or is that something that's mostly been confined to the online world?
Well, it's certainly something I feel in Pennsylvania, maybe even more than Washington. In Pennsylvania, we have a very big Jewish community, and in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. I live in Squirrel Hill, where the Tree of Life tragedy happened. So that's something when I'm going across the Commonwealth, we talk a lot about. And, we had, obviously, the Jewish community is very engaged in the question of the attack on October 7th. But we also, unfortunately, have had anti-Semitism on campuses, University of Pennsylvania, University of Pittsburgh. And so it's an issue that I talk about frequently, and I've been a strong supporter of Israel and someone who's stood strongly against anti-Semitism. It's one of many issues, though. I mean, make no mistake, people in Pennsylvania want to talk about affordability, they want to talk about inflation, they want to talk about fentanyl, which killed 4,000 people. But it's something that's very important to the people of my state.
Yeah, I want to talk about affordability. So this has been my main takeaway from Tuesday, which I really do think the Tuesday elections went probably as you would have guessed. So I don't think Republicans should get overly alarmed about it, though I would have liked to have seen a couple of those upsets that were possible. But one of the main lessons, if not the main lesson, is that I guess the main one is we got to figure out how to win without Donald Trump on the ballot. That's a big deal. But the other one is that messaging on affordability, the Democrats somehow, even though they're the ones who are responsible for the Bidenflation and largely responsible for, my state is barely affordable at all. In California, it's been run by Democrats for my entire life. And yet somehow I feel like they won the messaging on affordability, which is crazy to me, and we have to do better. So what is your reaction to that statement, and where do we go from here?
I couldn't agree more. I think, we inherited from the Biden administration and the Democratic majority a series of economic indicators and policies that had put the American people in a bad spot. Inflation under President Biden had gone up, prices had gone up by about 21% compounded over the course of his term, and wages haven't kept up with that. So there was a squeeze that had happened to the American people, and I ran on that. I ran on the border and the economy in Pennsylvania. That was why I won there, and I think why President Trump won. And since that time, there's been an enormous amount of effort to do all the things that are getting the economy back on track: deregulation, making permanent the tax cuts, the accelerated depreciation in the big beautiful bill, energy dominance, which is unlocking the capacity to bring energy online, which will lower prices, and trade deals that would ensure a fair trade for the American worker. The impact of that on the economy overall has been very good. 3.8% growth last quarter. A very robust economy. The stock market's in a great place, but prices haven't moved down significantly. Inflation's about what it was when President Trump came into office. Some things are a little higher, some things are a little lower. So now compared to the Biden term, prices were up year over year by 8.5% at one point during the Biden term. They're up year over year by less than 3% under President Trump's first term.
Well, not to interject too much, but it's interesting that like Mamdani framed it as, the prices aren't down. It's like, well, did you guys ever say the price coming down? You guys decreased inflation. That's big. But if they set the goalpost that prices have to drop, then it's very hard to meet that standard.
No, wages have to grow faster than prices. So that's the key. We have to create great jobs, great economic growth. If we have great economic growth, great jobs, wages, and we keep inflation low, so growth is low, then it's going to be easier and more affordable to live. So affordability is not just an issue of prices, it's an issue of wages. And so we have to have wages go up. We need to keep prices from going up further. But we're not going to likely have any significant situation where prices go down dramatically. We're not going to have deflation, or certainly not much of it. We're gonna slow inflation to a reasonable amount and have the economy grow faster than that. And that's a great recipe for working families.
So some bread and butter issues here. One of the things that we look to Pennsylvania for is how is American industry doing, and have the tariffs helped at all? That's the question here. As a lot of tariffs are in place, how is industry doing given the new regime?
Yeah, I think big picture, I think Pennsylvania is feeling great 9 months into the Trump administration. 5 very quick data points. Nippon U.S. Steel, $2.5 billion, thousands of new jobs in the Monongahela Valley for U.S. Steel. Amazon, $20 billion investment in Pennsylvania, two huge big data center campuses, thousands of jobs building those data centers and managing them. The Energy Summit that I hosted in Pittsburgh, $92 billion of investment, $40 billion in data centers, $52 billion in energy infrastructure. Hanwha, the Korean shipyard, purchased the Philly shipyard, 5,000 new jobs in shipbuilding. And then just last week when the president was overseas, the Japanese committed $100 billion of investment in new nuclear reactors built in Pennsylvania at Westinghouse. Those 5 things in any one year, any one of those things in any given year would have been extraordinary. To have all 5 things happen in 1 year in Pennsylvania is unprecedented. That is the result of this combination of trade policies, investment policies, making America much more attractive for investment again, and it's bringing industry back to Pennsylvania.
I reported on the show yesterday record low levels in border crossers, just fantastic news. Are we seeing the effect of less fentanyl at this point in places like Pennsylvania?
Yeah, we're starting to see it. It's a supply and demand problem. So on the supply side, what's happened on the border has been extraordinary. We had 4,000 people died last year in Pennsylvania from fentanyl. Those supplies are going down, but it's very concentrated, as you know, and there's a lot in the system. But that we're seeing that having a big impact. And then we got a demand problem, and we got to deal with the demand problem. We got to enforce the laws in places like Philadelphia and Kensington, and break the backs of the cartels and the drug rings that are still promoting fentanyl across our Commonwealth and across the country. But big strides forward under the president's leadership.
Wonderful stuff. Senator Dave McCormick, senator from Pennsylvania. Senator, anything I can plug for you or share or direct the audience anywhere? No,
just maybe a final thing. 250th anniversary here around the corner. Pennsylvania is going to be the site of a lot of recognition that's where the country was born. That's where Gettysburg was fought. That's where the arsenal of democracy lived. Pennsylvania has really been at the center of America's success and future, and that's the plan going forward too, to make sure Pennsylvania is the point of the spear. I got to talk to your staff about this. We should do a whole series in the lead up to that. That'd be amazing to do that. My audience goes crazy for that, so that'd be great. We'd love it. Okay, Senator. Thanks for all the time today, and
Thank you for being here on the Marlow Show.
Siggy Flicker, it's great to see you in person. We've never met in person. We've talked a couple of times through the internet and through the phone lines. But you're speaking at Republican Jewish Coalition. Give me your message right now, this particular moment.
My message is the world has a huge problem, especially America, and it's not a Jewish one.
Yeah.
We've got too many people obsessed and focusing on a little country smaller than the size of New Jersey and the Jews, who are only 0.2% of the world's population.
Right.
And now we have the devil on the right and the devil on the left. So we have the horseshoe effect. And I know I'm speaking about things that are uncomfortable for most, but we have a big problem, and it's a jihadi one.
Right.
So what happened is the Red-Green Alliance joined forces, and they're somewhere in a room having hummus and drinking and having a good time, because we've become a country of useful idiots, and we're buying into the propaganda. And while we're focusing on Israel and the Jews, jihad is hijacking our country. So I'm here because if we don't wake up, our country will look like France or London.
I want to take on both parts of that. So let's start with this whole concept that we're focusing so much on Israel, which is, it's real, we are, but it's interesting, the people who keep saying we spend too much time on Israel are the ones who keep bringing up Israel every second, it feels like.
That's a very good question, and there's a reason why.
Yeah.
When somebody's paying you money, why? Because they want to take over. You see, the jihadi goal is very simple, and they're not shy about it. This is why I respect them.
Right.
It's to infiltrate, populate, dominate, never assimilate, and then create a caliphate. And they're not shy about it. It's basically convert, submit, or die. Right. And what they do is they come here, and while we are boarding our kids, they have 7 wives and 11 children. And as you see, they start at a local level, and now they're making it into the Senate, they're making it into Congress, they're holding high positions, and that's when they're going to change the laws. And what I want everybody to concentrate on is, you don't have to like the Jewish people.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me, Jew hatred. It really doesn't. But I'm telling you that this nation is not a Jewish nation.
Right.
And a lot of Jews get mad at me for saying this. I am living in a Christian nation. The greatest country in the world is a Christian nation. And I'm asking Jews and Christians to now unite to save Western civilization. Because if we don't, we are going to lose this great country.
Yeah, okay, so I want to take on this concept of jihadism rampant in the United States. We've certainly normalized certain behaviors. I'm talking about a couple communities in Minnesota, Michigan in particular, perhaps, but maybe throughout the rest of the country, I don't know. We had a jihadi attack that was foiled that I talked to Dr. Gorka, who runs counterterrorism for President Trump, and he implied to me that he couldn't give me 10 details, that they were really trying to kill children while they celebrated Halloween, like that was the goal. So it's not non-existent. We had a border open for a long time that's going to cause problems. So how do you think, both in terms of an ideological level and a physical level, we're doing in terms of fighting jihad at home?
Well, we have the greatest president in modern history, Donald John Trump, so I'm feeling very confident. What I'm waiting for is Muslim Brotherhood must be classified as a terrorist organization. Once we could do that, then we could do a lot more things.
Yeah.
You have organizations that are running free. They're using our laws in order to take us over. And what people don't understand is world domination is happening. We're watching it in Sudan. October 7th was a Holocaust for Israel.
Yeah.
People don't understand that when they watch these animals, they're not even animals, I'm so sorry, they're monsters, GoProing themselves.
Yeah, my dog Chip's offended by that comment.
Yes, no, my dog, I'm thinking about animals are better than humans, but we're watching monsters GoPro themselves while they behead, slice, dice, rape. And if anybody is really interested in the Quran, it's right there.
Yeah.
Muhammad, the prophet, was married to a 6-year-old girl, Aisha. Rape for non-believers is okay. It says in the Quran, slay the non-believers. I mean, it's right in front of the face.
Where did I don't mean to go back 20 years, but where did the religion of peace concept come from? Like, who made that up? Did George Bush just wing that, or was that
No, it was Barack Obama.
But before then, like, we on the right were talking about, like, maybe it's religion of peace. I don't know. Is that true? Like,
it is not the religion of peace.
Yeah.
But I'm not here. Anybody can believe whatever they want. Actions speak louder than words.
Right.
I want to live in a world where somebody can pray to Allah, and somebody can pray to Jesus Christ, and somebody can pray to Elohim, and then we all meet on Thursdays for chip sauce and guacamole.
Yeah.
I don't want
No,
a
you have
religion.
to say guacamole. You have to
guacamole.
Yeah, you have to say it
Te
that
quiero,
way.
te amo. I don't want to live in a world where somebody says,
No.
I don't have a right to exist.
Yeah.
Now, as a Jew, I'm the daughter of a Holocaust scholar and survivor who ran Yad Vashem's Righteous Gentile Division for over 24 years.
Okay.
I know what anti-Semitism looks like. I'm not afraid of it. Everybody is so afraid of being called Islamophobic. Oh my God, it's the word.
Yeah.
I'm not. And I think that once America realized what kind of neighbors Israel had, they'll realize that what Israel did is what America needs to do. America needs to stand up for this amazing Christian nation. Stop focusing on the Nick Fuenteses and the Tucker Carlsons. Tucker Carlson he even said on his YouTube, on his show, at 4 o'clock in the morning, he was mauled by a demon. What I want to tell him is the demon never left your body. Where is the Tucker Carlson with the bow tie who used to defend Judeo-Christian values and principles? Today he's normalizing and saying Sharia law is not so bad. I mean, you got to think, why are these people doing this? Why are they out there so obsessed with a country small than the size of New Jersey? It's got to be something. It's got to be money and power.
Yeah.
Why else would you do it?
I always conceptualize it as the people. I can't speak for Tucker, or I've never met Fuentes, and I haven't spoken to Tucker in a while. And but I can't speak for them. But my guess is they like poking the bear. They like provoking people. They like knowing that there's so many of these conversations about them are happening. And it's interesting to me because that is, if I go there, it makes a lot of sense to me, and then I'm also not angry about it. I just understand it. I feel like, oh, okay, so that's what's happening. He's just trying to get people emotional and riled up and focused on his stuff.
But this is where, Alex, that's dangerous for me.
Yeah.
Because you're getting people riled up, and now you have useful idiots who came out of COVID.
Sure.
We have a sick society out there. 4 weeks before the great Charlie Kirk passed, I was with Charlie Kirk at his last event at Trump Briarcliff, and he said, Siggy, we have a huge problem. Immigration without assimilation is an invasion, and we've got to wake up the youth. We've got to make sure that they can own their homes and stop renting. You know, when you rent something, you don't really... And he was saying that, you know, in history, every time you had a sick society, there was always a scapegoat. It was the Jews. The Jews are always a scapegoat, so we're used to it.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying now is where it's dangerous for me and it's not dangerous for you is Jews are being attacked on the streets because you have people who don't know history and they're believing that a genocide is happening somewhere where the population has grown.
Well, by the way, so they're going to move on to me. I go to Catholic church, but I have a lot of Jewish blood, so they'll come for me eventually.
That's what I'm saying. First they start with the Saturday.
You're at the front lines.
Right,
I'm in the next line right there.
And
but at Editing Breitbart, where we have a Star of David in one of our logos for our Jerusalem bureau.
Yeah.
they're going to find me if they want to.
They're going to find all of us.
Yeah.
So I say you have to live your life with pride and a little bit of chutzpah, and you have to stand for what is right. And that's why I admire President Trump. Because he went against the beast, and he never ever changed, or he never swayed here or there. He just walks that straight line, and it taught me something watching him.
So I want to talk to you about, because you have a relationship with him. He pointed you to something recently.
Yes,
right?
the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C.
Okay, so you have an appointment for him on these issues specifically. What's interesting to me is so many of his most famous supporters, and some of them loyal, but all of them well-known, are really just obsessed with Jews in Israel and want to just talk about Jews in Israel all the time and don't seem to agree with President Trump. And this is an interesting thing because his policy on Israel is perfect. And so, in a way, I'm comforted by that, but he won't be president forever. He's only going to get another 2 or 3 more terms after this one.
Yes.
And then so after, 2036, whenever he's going to retire finally, then that's where the real concern takes place for
100%.
me. Yeah.
A lot of people are very concerned, and they should be. But we have a great administration, and I believe, especially in Marco Rubio and even J.D. Vance, they're all doing a phenomenal job. We really have the best administration. And yes, there's a few people in there, but you have to have diversity. That's okay. But all these people who are focusing on Israel and the Jews, and they are spreading lies about this country that small than the size of New Jersey. They're not talking about the money that's coming in from the Qatar lobbies. They only want to talk about AIPAC. People are waking up now. People are saying, wait a second, you're supposed to be America first, but you're not talking about any of the issues here in America, and you're only obsessing about a country that's actually fighting jihad. So a lot of people are waking up. I have to have faith, but then I have to remind the American people, What Israel's doing is Israel's protecting, Israel's a nation today. It's not so easy to kill Jews, and that's what it's upsetting the Red-Green Alliance. You know, back in 1930s, you could kill a Jew, and the Jew would pack up its suitcases and try to hide or go from country to country. Not today. Today, Israel is willing to defend its Jewish people.
Right.
We have the brave IDF, and we will not apologize for saving Jewish life.
And you know, it's interesting when it comes to the America First stuff. I asked Dr. Gorka when I was talking to him earlier, what is America's best ally when it comes to intelligence sharing? And Israel not even close. And it's just interesting how that it just doesn't come up enough.
It doesn't come up.
But this was Charlie's critique of Israel that I know was legit because I spoke with him constantly.
Spoke with him about it too.
I'm on the famous group chat now that Candace talks about, which is the it's the look. It's the I don't. What are they going to do? Like, it's these are insane.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. His real critique though was the PR was bad.
Horrible.
So Israel.
Been saying it for years.
Yeah. So I'm going to let you run on this. Israel does not do a great job defending itself or arming people to defend it. So what do we do there?
Well, he wrote a 7-page letter, and we spoke about it. And I said, Israel's good at everything. Yeah. We're good at technology. We're good at creating robotics for paraplegics. We make water out of air. We netafim, saved world hunger with a hose with holes in it.
The beeper attack.
That we make great pagers. What we don't do is we suck at PR. Yeah. And that's what Israel needs to work on.
And that's
but
not
it's
okay. That's not okay.
But no. But it is okay because for years Israel has had to put all their money on the front lines. And they're saying to me that I have to speak now.
Okay.
But right now, Israel has a huge problem with PR, and they need to work on it. And Charlie Kirk was one of the best fighters for Judeo-Christian principles. Yeah. Huge loss for the world. Charlie Kirk was the closest thing to Jesus Christ that I've ever met.
Yeah.
Not that I've ever met Jesus Christ, but even Jesus, a Jewish rabbi. The hatred that the Jews in Israel are getting is so unfair, it's so biased, and I wish people would wake up because the distraction is all to distract you to take over America.
Okay, when we do our reality show, we gotta do it. We got our MAGA reality show. I mean, you look fantastic.
Thank you.
It's the
facelift, yeah.
It's good.
Good.
I'm from LA. There's a lot of bad ones.
I
out
understand
there.
that.
Yeah. So I know you got to run, but this was way too serious this time.
I can't.
But
Alex,
have a great speech.
Thank you so much, and keep doing the great work that you're doing.
Thanks for spending some time with me.
Thank you.